What's up guys, it's me Deshaun, and welcome to my top 10 strongest characters in Yu Hakusho video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and with that, let's dive right in. Now for the number 10 spot, I have Shigure. At this point in the series, Hiei is so strong an A-class demon stands no chance against him. Now how strong is a A-class demon, you might be asking? When we take a look at Sensui as an S-class demon, his aura alone has the potential of destroying the planet. Sensui is not capable at fighting at full strength because if he were to exert his full strength in the human realm, he would quite literally destroy everything. This is why he'd have to be in the demon realm just to use the full extent of his powers. And as an S-class, he is in a completely different league than an A-class demon, being able to fight 3 of them at once. Kurama, Kurabara, and Hiei. And as an A-class demon, it would only be natural for you to cause an A-class threat. An A2 class threat is labeled as danger of international destruction, meaning that as an A-class demon, you would more or less be either multi-continental or at the very least continental. There is no direct statement on whether or not an A-class demon would scale to this, but obviously if the whole entire special defense force consists of A-class demons and they're capable of taking down an A-class threat, that would make all of these demons multi-continental or continental. Now, why is all of this relevant in terms of Shigure's strength? Well, back to Hiei. No A-class demon can stand a chance against Hiei. Well, at this point of the story. If you look at the amount of A-class demons he's defeated on his own, and it seems as though they all jumped him in swarms considering all their bodies are fresh. And as Mukuro says, I see Class A demons stand no chance against you. Obviously plural, so that means all of these demons took him all at one time, and he was able to defeat each and every one of these demons, which has the potential of blowing up or destroying a continent, or maybe even 2 or 3 of them. And these same demons do not stand a chance against him. And as to be expected of Shigure, during this time he is much stronger than Hiei. After all, he was the same one to teach Hiei how to use a sword, meaning that he is Hiei's master. He taught him sword skills so great that after witnessing such uncanny precision, despite how much stronger Sensui was, one of his minions proclaimed that after witnessing such skills, he realized that they probably wouldn't have won against them. And not only is this coming from a master cutter, but a reattachment specialist. Shigure is so much stronger than Hiei at this point in the series that the odds are in Shigure's favor 7-3. And in terms of aura, unlike the time when Hiei fought Bui, where Bui tried to attack him with his axe and Hiei simply melted it, saying, "Did you think an auraless scrap of iron would bother me?" Shigure's brimstone ring blade was capable of pushing Hiei to a point in which he'd have to sacrifice his arm, because if he didn't, his sword would have broken and he wouldn't have had an opening to attack Shigure. That's how rich Shigure's aura is. And I think this would make him perfect for the number 10 spot. With his unparalleled sword skills while being a lieutenant under Mukuro, and being significantly stronger than this same Hiei that was capable of slapping A-class demons like it's nothing, I think he's perfect for the start of this list. As for the number 9 spot of this list, I know a lot of you are going to think, why is he not in top 5? Why is he so low? I'm not gonna lie, I wanted this character to be in top 5, but unfortunately he's just not that strong. And number 9 would be Kurama. Outside of power, Kurama's strengths mainly revolve around his resourcefulness and wit. Just because he's this low, that does not mean he would not be able to beat said opponents that are stronger than him. For example, the amount of tools and what Kurama is capable of doing with said tools would ultimately give him the win in the fight. For example, you could be stronger and faster than Kurama, but if he gets a chance to plant his deadly vetch seed into you, you're done. Kurama can create plants wherever his aura flows freely, and can even grow plants from his hair, allowing for a lot of disgusting options when it comes to deception. And that's not including the fact that he can smell your aura and he can also hide his own aura. His resourcefulness ranges from using any plant and using it as a tool for combat, or simply using a plant that exists on the demon plane. Due to this, there are hundreds of different scenarios in which a fight could play out for Kurama. The amount of different combinations he could use between the plants that exist in the Earth realm and the demon realm, plus his brains, would simply overwhelm you. To give you a good example of this, Kurama is capable of growing a forest in seconds. When you step into his forest, he is no different than a fox on a hunt, manipulating the environment into his favor, and Kurama turning every single plant around you into a weapon that he could use against you. turning simple blades of grass into actual blades, hiding his aura, and creating a poisonous gas fog within this forest, and as you try to find him, it is ticking away at your lifespan. But as you are looking for him, you are getting barraged by demon plants. Man-eating demon plants that attack anything that moves or emits excessive heat. Even if you're able to find Kurama and somehow damage him, he could heal himself with the plants from the demon plane. Or during this time, you could get caught by another plant from the demon plane, the sinning tree, and you'll be stuck in an illusion as it sucks every trace of life from you. And this is not including the fact that Kurama could make a shield of flower petals that will slice you up if you even go near them. And these are just some of the resources that he has in the manga, and this is not including the potential plants that he could use that exist on Earth but aren't displayed in the manga, or any demon plant that Togashi comes up with. Now, after hearing just how broken Kurama is, and this is not even including his Yoko form, I bet you're wondering, why is he so low on this list? Well, it's because during his battle with Shigure in the unification tournament, Shigure fought Kurama to a point in which he was burning out, and afterwards Kurama says, "It still beats me how I managed to defeat him." Now, there are two things that I'd like to point out. The first thing is that we don't actually see how this fight plays out in the manga, but we do get to see how it plays out in the anime, but technically that's not really canon. After all, it's just an extra scene in the anime. But during this fight, Kurama actually goes into his Yoko form. But we don't know whether or not he went into his Yoko form in the manga, because we don't see it. But whether or not he went into his Yoko form during this fight could change his placement entirely. If you want my opinion, Hiei being able to fight Shigure in his base form while Kurama isn't able to fight him in his base form, that kind of sounds funny to me, but hey. There's no real indication on whether or not Kurama did this, so I can't really put him any higher. As for the second thing I'd like to point out, I feel like Kurama easily has the ability to kill a lot of these opponents, but due to his current lighthearted nature, where he's basically not going to kill anybody he faces, unless he really doesn't like you or you try to do something scummy to him, a bloodlusted Kurama definitely has the potential to beat even the people that are stronger than him on this list. There is a reason why Yomi wanted Kurama specifically for this war, and I doubt we'd witness that reason during this family-friendly unification tournament. Maybe not family-friendly, but you catch my drift. Up next in the number 8 spot, we have Kai Lin. Now, unfortunately, we don't get to see much of Kai Lin, but before Hiei, he was originally Mukuro's strongest soldier. Now, to put this in perspective, Kai Lin is literally Mukuro's strongest soldier, or was at least, and Kurama, who takes a 9th spot underneath him, struggled against one of Mukuro's lieutenants, Shigure. So I think that more than justifies his placement on this list, despite us knowing little to nothing about him. It only makes you wonder what exactly he is capable of. Kurama was actually able to one-shot Yomi's original right-hand man Shachi, whose total demonic power stood at 37,800. Kurama's in his Yoko form stands at 152,000. But originally in his human form, he's at 1,902. But when you look at Kai Lin's total demonic power, he stands at 89,500, making him stronger than both second in commands, Shachi and Hakusho combined. Now, if Kurama is so much stronger than Kai Lin in his Yoko form, why was he struggling against Shigure, a lieutenant? And I feel like this could go both ways. Either A, Kai Lin is actually suppressing his powers, similar to how Kurama was suppressing his powers in comparison to his human form and his Yoko form. With Kai Lin being so strong, it seems as though he'd hardly ever have to exert himself, and if the other armies knew about his full strength, that would actually allow them to prepare for the war. Very similar to how Kurama said, never show your hand early. At least this would make the most sense to me, because if not, Kurama would utterly decimate Kai Lin with a TP of 152,000 versus Kai Lin's 89,500. And for Kurama to be this strong, it kind of makes no sense for him to be struggling against Shigure, especially in his Yoko form as shown in the anime. It seems rather inconsistent, but there is a chance that in the manga he did not use the Yoko form, and that would make the most sense as to why he'd struggle against Shigure. So if we follow the anime, Yoko Kurama struggles against Shigure, who is merely a lieutenant of Mukuro, which makes no sense. But if we follow the manga, Kurama absolutely slaps all of the second in command. And it seems as though during his fight with Shigure, it seems as though he might have only been using his human form. That is the only way I could possibly see this making sense. So depending on whether or not Kurama went Yoko during that fight could put him higher or lower on the list. Since there's no indication, I'm just going to keep him lower, but debatably he could be above Kai Lin. I think it's more consistent that he didn't use the Yoko form against Shigure, because for Yoko Kurama to be at 152,000 TP, it makes absolutely no sense for Kurama to burn out while fighting Shigure. Or maybe in typical Yu Yu Hakusho fashion, while these guys were fighting, they were getting stronger. Shigure was fighting Kurama to a point in which he got on his level. Kai Lin was fighting whoever he was fighting to get on that dude's level, similar to how Yusuke was fighting Yomi and getting stronger. Or, you guys get what I'm saying. Pick your poison. As for the number 7 spot, we have Shura, Yomi's son. Shura is Yomi's ace in the hole in terms of this war. Before being born, his TP was over 80,000, almost putting him on the same level as Kai Lin before he came out the womb. And before the tournament, they were trying to at least raise his reading to 500,000. And it seems as though they raised it well beyond that because he's so strong. He is on the same level as Yusuke and says that Yusuke is not much and he could probably beat him. When you keep in mind that a lower S-class demon like Sensui's aura alone is capable of destroying the earth, so you'd have to fight him on the demon plane, for him to actually utilize the full potential of his strength, the feats Shura displayed against Yomi on top of the Aeon tree are pretty impressive. At this point in the story, Shura would probably be so strong that he would slap the shit out of Sensui, as he's able to casually blow up parts of the Aeon tree and has a disgusting 0.04 activation time for his emissive attacks, each disc taking large chunks out of the forest on the Aeon tree. And again, keep in mind the demon realm has different properties from the human realm, so these feats are definitely a lot more staggering than you'd initially think, especially if these guys are in a completely different league from Sensui, and Sensui's aura alone was destroying the planet. Respectively, Shura has earned the number 7 spot. After all, he's as strong as Yusuke, who is also on the same level as Hiei during this point in the story. Up next for the number 6 spot, we have Hiei. Again, Hiei is about as strong as both Yusuke and Shura, but what ultimately puts him above Shura is the fact that if Hiei's base form were to absorb the Dragon of the Darkness Flame, his power would be boosted to the nth degree, and this would put him well above over Shura, and this is not including his uncanny swordsmanship, the fact that he could read minds, burn anything he touches into smithereens, or simply use the Dragon of the Darkness Flame for himself. I think these reasons alone are proof enough as to why he'd be above Shura on this list. Up next for the number 5 spot, we have Yusuke. Again, for the 3rd time, it was stated that Yusuke was on the same level as Shura and Hiei, but that was until Yusuke's fight with Yomi. Yusuke's fight with Yomi was literally so intense that it started to affect the other opponents, making them all want to fight even harder. And this fight was so grand that it took 60 hours. They fought for 60 hours and it left Yomi depleted of strength, stamina, and focus. During Yusuke's fight with Yomi, he was literally improving on spot, despite the absolutely disgusting gap in power. If Yusuke is this strong in his base form by the end of the series, it only makes me wonder just how strong his Mazaku form would be. Now for the number 4 spot, we have Yomi. With Yomi obviously being the main antagonist in the last arc of Yu Yu Hakusho, you already know he's going to be a monster. If you were to simply enter Yomi's country, he can even hear the slightest of whispers anywhere in Gandhara. This is how monstrous his senses are. With the ability to even read your aura, it's almost as if he can predict your every movement. Yomi is so strong, he'd be able to kill Kurama, Yusuke, and all the previous fighters in the Dark Tournament that we've seen before post-training without even trying. While fighting against his son Shura, he was absolutely slapping him, not even trying at all. He was literally reacting to an attack. that activated in 0.04 seconds, foreseeing every single one of his son's moves. He's so strong that even Yusuke himself stated that Yomi hardly needed to exert himself to beat him. And if you thought Kurama's 152,000 total demon points was impressive, Yomi stands at a 1,550,000. As for the third spot on this list, I made it every single one of Aizen's friends. They are literally some of the strongest characters, if not the strongest characters in the series. They're so strong. Originally, this top 10 was going to be just these characters, but that wouldn't make a very entertaining video since there's little to no information about them. And you may be wondering just how strong are Raizen's friends. Well, they're so strong that Yomi stated that Raizen's friends were more than a match for him. And during the Demon Unification tournament, they were actually slapping every single person that they faced and only lost to each other. To put this into perspective, Yomi stands at a 1,550,000, while their readings literally go off the charts. Their power is unscalable, and Raizen has 9 friends in total. From weakest to strongest, the weakest would be Tetsuzan, then Denho, then Shu and Soketsu would be on the same rank, then Natsume, Kokoho, Saizo, Kujo, and then the strongest being Enki, the actual winner of the unification tournament. Also, fun fact, Koko actually slapped Yomi in the tournament. Now for the number 2 spot on this list, who could possibly be stronger than Raizen's friends? Turns out, Mukuro, with an intense state of mind, is in a completely different league than even Raizen's friends. As stated by Shigure, Enki's powerful sure, but no match for Master Mukuro. It should have been no contest. Oh my god, just how strong do these characters get? How strong are you if you're so strong that you're literally slapping one of Raizen's friends? But unfortunately, Mukuro is no longer that strong because her intense state of mind is gone. Kylan even says, I doubt we'll ever see her true power ever again. Now for the number 1 strongest character in the series, it would more or less be Raizen in his prime. If we go back to the strongest characters in the series, aka Raizen's friends or sparring partners, they stated that we were pretty tough in our day, but Raizen was much stronger. If Mukuro and Yomi had known him in his prime, they'd have been history ages ago. Even though their levels of TP is higher than Raizen, please keep in mind that Raizen is merely starving himself and he's not as strong as he actually is. If Raizen's sparring buddies are this strong that ever since Raizen quit fighting, they also quit fighting as well, that would mean that Raizen would most likely be on this same level. And obviously he was stronger than each and every one of them because they never got to get a win against him. He's even stronger than Mukuro. Even Mukuro respected Raizen and even visited his grave. And it seems as though even she saw him as a formidable opponent. When you look at all these factors, it's a no-brainer as to why Raizen is the strongest character in the series. With all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want some more Yu Hakusho videos, and with that, I'm out.